Now, the Bram Weinstein Show on Washington's new home for sports, ESPN 630.
Hey, baby. Hi, everyone. It's me. Hi, everyone. Why is everybody so angry at me? Hi, everyone. Welcome to Ted's Take. Hi, everyone.
That is not Ted Leonsis. That's Bram Weinstein.
Ooh, daddy. Oh, daddy. Well,
Heated up over the weekend on that one.
I feel like I should be doing Tom Sherwood's show these days. It's all public affairs. Public affairs. I'm going to get into quarterbacks at some point. You know, I do like talking about
It's like
sports.
fourth on the docket today.
The Nats aren't for sale anymore.
Yes,
that's
the
number
breaking
one.
news.
I'll
That's
get to I'll get to those who are labeling now terrible Ted in a little bit, including I think we need to spend a lot of time on Abe Poland's son, who went after him pretty hard about you're breaking a promise to my father.
Yep, right. Correct.
It's like, wow, got it.
I mean, say what you want. Like, it was kind of funny. I don't remember Abe getting so heavily criticized about the Bullet/Wizards because he did a lot of philanthropic things in the city and was a great man. And I think people were like, be nice if the basketball team was good, but he did so many good things in the city.
He did. He was extraordinarily philanthropic.
Yes. And so I think people stomach and bared it because it was like, you know what? He's trying to make the community a better place.
Yes. He was.
That's why it never got to the fever pitch that it's been right now. I
did not know how to run a winning organization.
Correct,
for sure.
Right.
Like, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, not unlike actually like under Ted, except that they didn't have an all-time player on it. Mm-hmm. The Capitals in the 80s and 90s were the same as they've been in the last 15, 20 years.
That's right. Yeah.
They were always very good.
Yep.
They had really good players at times. Bobby Carpenter, Mike Gartner, Scott Stevens. They had a lot of very good Hall of Fame level players.
Hunter, all of them.
Oh, yeah. For years. Yeah. They just could never get over the hump. They were always like kind of right there, never got over the hump for any variety of reasons. And, you know, now they've had an all-time player. They got it once. But, I mean, if that one time didn't happen, we'd be sitting in the same boat, really, honestly. Yeah. Other than I don't know how you didn't win one with that guy.
Yeah,
you know, like the greatest scorer of all time. Like, how'd you not win one with him? Anyway, Abe, I think Abe goes down in the lore of well-thought-of owners, even though they didn't win very much.
Yes, correct.
You know, he'll remind you he won in a great year in 78, but
you never hear the criticism of billionaire sports owners go down on him like that. It's always a complete opposite feeling.
No, he, you know, his, you know, obviously he benefited from owning a basketball team that I don't know what he bought it for in the 70s, but it must have been nothing. This is before the NBA finals were literally live on TV. So it's a different sport at the time. So he probably paid, I'd have to look it up, but I bet he paid $10 million or something like that for them. And of course, you know, sold them eventually. So the family did extremely, extremely well for it. But with that, what he did was try to embolden the city, and he did things for the benefit of the city, a tremendous amount of philanthropic things. And, you know, I'll complain till the day is long that, like, this team has sucked for so long, and that's very difficult to bear and burden. But what he did with his wealth and influence, I don't think Ted has not done that. But what you're seeing is everything that he's building to try to help the city is in his favor.
Right. Yes.
Abe did a lot of things for the city's benefit, and he would benefit from it too, but it really was for the city's benefit. Ted is building things that are to build the monumental footprint. It's not necessarily to make the city better. He may argue otherwise. And then this particular move that he's doing in Virginia is now exposing him, you know, as I want to do something that is most beneficial to me, even at the detriment of what I leave behind. I still agree that there are a lot of reasons why he would want to do this outside of just money and land and all that stuff. Like, I agree that the city leaders have let him down with what's going on in and around the arena. So I understand where he's coming from that. I know some people don't want to hear it, but it's not. He is an anchor for the city there, and they've allowed a lot of things to occur in and around the city. And I'm not saying like there's some simple fix, but I understand where he's coming from. It's not like it was 15, 20 years ago. I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but the pandemic hurt the inability to bring the federal government workers back to fill the office space down there. Considering how many people frequent that on an almost nightly basis, you'd think restaurants would thrive, bars would thrive. They don't. There's not a lot of people living down there anymore. That has a lot more to do with just changing dynamics of the city and places where young people want to live, and that's not his fault or the city's fault. But, I understand. And, more and more and more, the drum beat's getting louder here. And it sounds like Louise from Richmond is the one who might get in the way of this happening. Yep. And I'll read some of her stuff in a bit.
Just before you move on, it's the Bullets were purchased from the original franchise managing partner Dave Traeger by Abe Poland, Earl Foreman, and real estate investor and former referee Arnold Heft for $1.1 million in 1964.
It's even low. $1.1 million. What a joke.
That's absurd.
$1.1 million.
It's 1964, but still.
And amazingly, had he held on, if his family held on to ownership of the team, because it's exponentially, prices of teams has exponentially changed in the last 5 to 7 years, he would probably have gotten about $2 billion for the Wizards now. Mm-hmm. And the Capitals would probably be about $1 billion.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. What did he buy the Capitals for? That was expansion, right? He probably just paid an expansion fee. They were an expansion team.
Yeah, they were an expansion team, so I can look it up for you. Yeah,
what did he pay for that? $20?
$20.
Yeah.
Some mambo
$78?
sauce.
Yeah, $78 and some filing fees to put in there to get the Capitals. It's probably $1 million, like an expansion fee. Something like that?
It does not tell me what the expansion fee is.
All right. Anyway, all right. I'll get more into Ted in a little bit. Let's go to the Nats. This is the news of the day. I'm actually not surprised by this. The Washington Post spoke to the principal owner, Mark Lerner. It doesn't say who spoke to him, but it just says the Washington Post. And he said this, quote, our family has determined that we are not going to sell the team, that the family came to this decision, quote, a while ago. Asked about the exploratory process that they went through, which everyone assumed meant they were going to sell the team. Lerner said this, nothing has changed. We've just decided that it's not the time or the place for it. We're very happy owning the team and bringing us back a ring one day. And I'll get into that part in a little bit because I think they're a ways away from that happening. This is not a surprise to me. Mm-hmm. When they did the exploratory processes out there, and then it seemed to not go anywhere very quickly, we all assumed it was all about the Masson thing. And if they could clear up the Masson thing, that they would then potentially sell the team for it. Or there might have been a, fine, we'll sell it at a price. And the Angels even found this out, that price wasn't being garnered for the baseball teams right now, probably for a lot of reasons. And part of it has to do with media rights. Not just the Nationals is more complicated than the Angels, but you're seeing a lot of problems with regional sports networks, and they're all trying to figure out their media rights. It's a problem right now in that sport. But when it did come out and this happened, my immediate reaction was, I don't know Mark Lerner well, but I know him enough. And I know some of the family members enough, not well, I don't want to pretend I know them well, but I know them enough to know that they genuinely love owning this team, which is why I was surprised when it went up for sale. Because sometimes you have owners that really treat it like a business and others that really, truly love it. And it's, these are extremely wealthy people that could do other things. But it was my understanding that they really, truly love being the owners of the team.
That's right.
So when they said they were selling it, it felt premature to me. I was surprised. I know Mark Lerner loves the Washington Nationals. This isn't just a business decision. So I'm not surprised today. And considering it's gone nowhere, and we've heard nothing since the sale of the Orioles, which should clear up, not that that's gone through officially yet, but that should immediately clear up the issues that were lingering, I hope, if Rob does his job. Get lingering issues of what's going on between Masson and the rights. So, but I'm somewhat not surprised today because it is to their benefit if this gets cleared up too. And Ted's got a lot on his plate right now. And considering when they said it's not the time or the place for it, and we all think Ted was going to buy it, considering the position he's put himself in publicly,
yes,
maybe the Lerner family does feel like, one, we love the team. Two, we see brighter skies with our financial future because David Rubenstein, we think, owning the Orioles and baseball getting involved will help us navigate all this. We can get out of the courts with all this stuff with Masson, get our rights back. And third, I don't know if people are going to be particularly pleased at us selling the team to Ted Leonsis in the here and now. Why don't we get through this wave of what's happening with Monumental? Because Ted's getting a tremendous amount of pushback right now. And then, like you say you're going to sell it to him, what's he going to do with the team? And then you start wondering, what's he going to do with the team?
Correct, yeah, absolutely.
He already pulled a couple teams trying to out of the city.
Sure.
And Nationals Park is not old, but I don't think it's something that's not a beloved ballpark.
It's not a mecca. No, not by any means. Yeah.
So would he replicate this and try to build Nats Park in Dumfries or whatever it may be? I don't know.
That's a scary thought.
Keep laughing, but like, what's going on
Virginia
right now?
Nationals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Virginia
They'll play right next to the Virginia Wizards. So, yeah.
Some bad branding.
Yeah.
Redo that.
Yeah. So, they don't speak very much, so it's going to be hard to know. I do wonder if he'll put out some kind of, letter to the fans now, which it feels like he should. They haven't done it in the past. They never explained why they were thinking about selling in the first place, so why would they explain why they're keeping it? But in this case, by saying, we want to keep ownership of the team, and we know that that's been in question for a while. An explanation of the family's thought process, I think, would be appropriate here, and I hope that they do that.
He does tend to do like one letter. It usually comes like the week before opening
right at the
day.
end of spring training. He does it.
And,
yes.
he just is a overview of everything.
Last year we laughed at it because he didn't even mention that the team was up for sale. We're like, guy, it's the one thing we're all thinking about here.
And so one thing I would love is give us one detail. Like, give me one detail to hang on to of, I was waiting for our TV money, or I was waiting for our financial, projections to settle out with things. Like, give me just one reason of why you are deciding not to sell. And if it's the Masson thing, fine. I'm completely at peace with it. But I had literally tweeted it after it came out. I'm like, it's convenient you're saying this when spring training starts and you didn't spend a dime this offseason.
Yeah.
No offense, Joey Gallo. You spent pennies, essentially, when your roster is honestly an abject mess. And I get it. If you were waiting for the Masson thing, or you were still exploring the sale up until last week, and the Orioles thing shook out, and you finally decided, okay, we're not going to sell now because Manfred said we should be able to figure the Masson thing out, fine, I will hear you. I will give you that benefit of the doubt. But say something to the fans of, this is why we were operating this way. We were just waiting for something to happen. Oh, and then next year, when the offseason hits, if you don't spend, people are going to be pissed now, because now there's really no excuse that you're not going to sell. The Masson stuff's figured out, that you officially are 2 feet in. You're not doing this 1 foot out, 1 foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing. Like, I get it, but you got to give me something when the season starts up to just say we were waiting for this to kind of settle out to figure out what we wanted to do.
I would like him to also explain, the process of how they're thinking about spending money, and when they will and when they won't, because they are acting like they're a small market team right now, and we aren't. And in the past, we have not acted like that. I know some people called them cheap at times. I used to push back at that and go, I don't think so. Like, they actually do spend, they structure it strange, but the players are agreeing to it. So they're, but they're giving them market rate. It's not like they weren't. Even the Bryce Harper deal, if what they offered him was true, it was exactly what he got from the Philadelphia Phillies, albeit structured a little bit differently.
Get paid in his 50s, but
anyway. And if the Soto stuff is true, they did offer him something prematurely that's generational wealth that he turned down. So it's hard to really complain about them in that way. I would like to hear from them about where they think the state of the roster is, where they think this rebuild is. And there's a lot of things I want to hear, but more than anything, I want to hear from them. Why did they dabble with selling the team? Why are they not now selling the team?
Yes, exactly right.
And I just want to hear
the reasoning.
Just reasoning. And I do think some of it, and whether people believe it or not, is just what I'll reiterate what I said earlier. Like, knowing a little bit about the family, I was genuinely surprised when they put it up for sale, because I know how they feel about it. Right. So I can't believe they would get rid of it. Like, it felt like there's something else going on here that maybe is kind of filtering down that we don't know. Is it the real estate down at the Navy Yard? Are they not pleased with, because they're real estate developers. They've already developed the real estate. There's kind of nothing for them to do in that realm. Do they feel like they've done all they can? Do they not love being owners of the team anymore? Are they turned off by the price of the players? Like, the Corbin deal is not very good. It did get them a World Series, but it's not very good. The Strasburg deal is blown up in their face. Right. Like, I don't know.
It's still only 2 contracts. Like, that's it.
I agree. Every team has a bad contract.
Right.
They've got 2, and one of them was fine the first couple of years, actually. The other, it just blown up in their face now. They avoided a disaster with Rendon. Right. Like, total disaster with him. So they avoided that one. Scherzer turned out to be amazing for them.
Best free agent signing maybe ever in all sports.
I'm angry that they didn't do this with Turner or Soto, but Soto clearly, who's now telling reporters in New York, don't talk to me until after the season's over. Right. So he's telling them what he told the Padres, what he told us. But now that he's gone this far, he might as well.
Of course.
Mean, there's no turning back. Turner is the one that I think that I just didn't totally get that one. Because he's in the prime of his career. It sounds like they lowballed him.
They did, yeah.
He's the only person of this ilk that they didn't lowball. It's like, what, they get a deal done or not get a deal done, but they hadn't tried to pull a Kirk like they did on Trey. That one I don't totally get. And really, since then, Wallet's been closed.
Correct. Exactly.
Wallet's closed, and, they've made these deals, and I guess they're telling Rizzo, show me we have a team to spend around, and he hasn't done that yet,
right?
Which I've been kind of harping on here for a couple of years. Guys, I don't see it. I appreciate they keep saying this, but you'll see it when you see it. And the players that they have out there are not all-stars. So that's the return that they got. Deal with it.
There's one factor here that I don't think is actually talked enough. You and I have talked about it on the air when it happened, but when Ted Lerner passed away, you and I even perked up and said, Mark is the one that loves running the day-to-day operation.
The team.
And
goes to spring training, is there every day.
And you and I said the second Ted passed away, that we were like, I think this sales stuff is going to be put on the shelf for a little bit because
Maybe Ted was telling the family,
right?
We've done all we can do here.
We won a World Series. Yeah, right.
And they started acting like they were selling the team. Like, I remember describing it as they're stripping this thing down. They're making this easier for someone else to buy. And then there's all these contracts that it's going to be someone else's debt that they have to deal with.
Correct.
We don't have to deal with that anymore. And it really, to me, maybe from Ted's perspective, it was, he loved bringing it here. He loved being part of the legacy, but he's a businessman. He built this fortune. They're real estate developers. They developed all the real estate. And maybe he was going, there's nothing more for us to do here. We would just be caretakers of an organization. But we didn't do it just for that. We did it because we wanted to change a part of the city. We changed it. There's nothing we can do now. Nats Park isn't moving.
Right.
So what are we going to do? We're done. And Mark's going, but I like baseball.
Yeah, right. I like doing this.
I like doing this. And so, maybe that, it really could be as simple as Mark Lerner may just say, I never really wanted to sell the team, but my dad thought it was the right thing for us to do from a business perspective. And he may be right about that, but we want to own the team.
I had to look it up too. Ted Lerner was like the number 2 richest owner in baseball at the time of his passing.
Yes.
He was worth like $3.5 billion, I think, is what his valuation was.
That's changed now.
And
Steve
that's changed.
Cohen is.
It's changed also because Mark is now the acting owner, and so he, I looked it up. He's like 1.5. He's like 10th still. It's still, they're still top 10 technically, right? So that was also a factor here where I don't know what happened with the other kids, but maybe there was also some working around of some of the other Lerner children were going, we'd rather sell and take the cash right now. And maybe they were working some kind of deal out. If we don't sell, what do you want to do? Because you know how this works with families. Some people just want.
The kids like it too.
Maybe not all of them though. That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at.
That's what happened with the Angelos family. Right. It sounds like 1 or 2 of them were into it, and the other one wanted nothing to do with it. But if he wanted to do it, it would be to take it with his girlfriend in Nashville.
Right. Yes, exactly.
And do country music concerts. It's not even about the baseball anymore.
Right. The other factor on this too, by the way, just because you touched on it with Rizzo, is what I haven't understood is, Rizzo is not even doing what he does best, and that's signing guys to 1-year contracts to flip them at the deadline. That's what his masterclass is getting to refill the farm system by spending a little bit in the offseason, knowing it's going to pay off down the line. I made fun of it at the time. The Pirates, did you know they signed Aroldis Chapman this offseason?
No.
On a 1-year deal.
Because they're going to flip.
Because they're just going to flip them.
Right.
And it's just that's what you do when you know you're not going to be competitive.
Here, we'll give you the most money.
You know you're
hang out here for 4 months. Right. We're going to flip you to the right team. Don't worry about it.
They're like, you've been doing this for 5 or 6 years straight now. You know the deal. And he's going to go pitch in Pittsburgh.
The Rangers didn't bring him back.
I bet you maybe the Pirates just offered a little more money. I'm serious. That's what is actually irking me more about the Nats is they're not doing literally anything to better themselves. They're kind of just well, here's the team. Yeah. And that's it. There's no moving parts, nothing you could flip, no guys you could sign. This is where that's where my kind of red flag is going up of how come you're not letting Rizzo do anything? That's where I really haven't understood. So hopefully now maybe they sign a guy or two. They're not going to sign anyone this off, spring training. They're just not. We just know how that works.
No, and it's they're very cognizant that their team isn't very good, and
right.
they're basically acting like, why would we spend money? It's not going to change anything for us, not demonstrably.
Yeah.
So why would we do that unless it's a young person? Like if we get some kind of deal on some young person, but everybody's so under control in Major League Baseball, that stuff's hard to find. Yeah. You have to trade for that.
Right.
And, listen, I'm all for, I want to see Rizzo do this again. I have not seen the blueprint of it coming into shape at all. And so I'll be interested to see what happens now. He always gets small extensions. I wonder, where's his contract status now? Has he got 1 year left or 2 years left?
I don't remember.
They extended Davey, I remember, for like another year or something, right? But they typically do this in very short order. And they don't typically do long deals with anybody. So
we don't have a year on it. It just said, it was a 2-year extension in 2023. So it was both of them. Or sorry. Davey was a 2-year extension, and Rizzo just said multi-year. I guess an actual number. Long. Yeah, an actual number hasn't said.
Okay, so let's guess here that it's not much longer than after this season.
Yeah.
Maybe they're waiting to see, all right, show me, man, with the young people, you know, which would lead me to believe that he would, if that's what's happening, that he's going to have to call up some of these young guys and they better perform pretty well. Right. And if they don't, then they're going to start looking at this and going, we might need to get a new voice in the front office because we traded away these massive assets and we don't have a team that is kind of budding ready to compete at this point. The returns just aren't there. Not yet. Not yet. They do have a couple of young guys that everybody's very excited about. And maybe when they come up, if the time is now, but this reads like the time may be now because the people who are in charge of those decisions may feel like they better bring them up now to prove that what they have there is going to be something that's building towards a future.
Sure. I would make this if Rizzo it doesn't work out and he somehow, is let go and then, whenever he writes the book, I will be happily reading to see exactly what happened here because I'm going to guess Mike Rizzo probably didn't want to trade Juan Soto, Trey Turner, not sign Rendon, let Scherzer was always going to go because it was on a 1-year deal. But I'm just guessing Rizzo probably wanted to pick his spots here with a contract, maybe 2. And I'm just saying, not all of it seemed like he exactly wanted to tear this whole thing down to redo this farm system. Yeah. Like he probably would have liked to keep one of those guys that I just named that got traded. So I'm just saying, that's the other part about this is maybe Rizzo now has a green light moving forward of, if you want to make a deal or two that we wouldn't have made in the last 4 years, go ahead and do it now because we're actually all in.
The other thing that happened was Britt Giroli wrote about this the other day in The Athletic, where her premise basically is, why are you picking a fight with Steven Strasburg?
Yep.
Because they are.
Yep.
Last year, supposedly, there was going to be a retirement ceremony. And then it didn't get announced, and then it didn't happen. And because it got out that they were going to do it, and nobody denied that they were going to do it. No one said it was happening, but no one denied that they weren't talking about it, that something clearly went wrong. And then so everybody seems to believe, and there's only one reason why this would be, they asked him to give some money back or change his contract or do something of which, sorry guys, he's entitled to it. And I guess he and his agent aren't going to do that.
Yeah. The talk in that article was that basically there was some negotiation that they wanted to defer the money, and then it wasn't clear whether the deferred money had interest or basically wasn't what Strasburg wanted to do because he's going, I can be hurt and still get paid.
Yes.
This doesn't benefit me. I'm kind of doing you a solid. And I guess the negotiations, I think the words she used were significant, but they didn't lead to anywhere.
So then she points out that they said at the time, we look forward to seeing him at spring training, even though we read articles from doctors saying, this guy's never pitching again.
That's right.
He may not lift his arm above his head, but let alone throw a pitch 90-something miles per hour, because that's never happening again.
That's right.
He's suffered debilitating injuries that will affect his life, right? So he's never pitching again, but they point out they want him to show up. And I guess he hasn't yet.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And so they're now making it sound like positioning like you need to show up here by a certain date and we don't know what the or is, which is why she's writing, why are you picking a fight with him? He can't pitch. Has no interest in being like a mentor.
Yeah, Rizzo.
He's just not that way.
This is a weird one by Rizzo. Rizzo said something along the lines of like, oh, I'd like to see him here to help along the young pitchers. And I'm like, Have you not ever seen an interview with this guy?
You ever met this guy?
He's the most prickly person in the organization.
Yeah. We made fun of the fact
this?
that crazy year they won, he was hugging people.
Yes.
And we were like, that's weird.
Yeah,
He's hugging people.
That's right.
He doesn't hug people.
It was his party era, apparently. And then he went right back to where he was.
That was his wild side came out, was he hugged Anthony Rendon once. Or he danced. He'd never done that before. So I'm with her on this.
Drop it.
Drop it.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a terrible contract. It's your fault. You gave it to him. And of all people that should have known the risk behind it, it's you. He'd been injured 50 times.
That's right. Yep. Exactly right.
And, in the end, the answer wasn't choosing between Rendon and Strasburg. It was sign neither of them.
That's right. Yep.
They would have looked better for it right now by doing neither. But Strasburg, off of a World Series MVP, was going to be hard to turn that down. That said, you gave him the length that you gave him at the price that you gave him. Had you given him a 3-year deal, he probably wouldn't have accepted it. But had you given him a 3-year deal at the price number, well, it's a different situation now. It'd all be over with, and everybody would just be like, that's a heck of a golden parachute for what you did for us, but here you go. Because this still lingers now, it's like a albatross. It seems to bother them, but they just need to let it go. It was a bad business decision by the team. A lot of teams do it. I understand why they did it and off of why they did it, and maybe they just felt like we can't just let them both walk, because wisely they didn't sign Rendon to what the Angels gave him. But even then, for someone like me who watches this, I'm like, I don't think I love the guy and I appreciate what he's done, and when he's good, he's incredible, but I wouldn't give him 7 years at that price. Have you not been paying attention to how many games he's missed in his career? I wouldn't do that. And this is honestly worst case scenario. I never thought he'd have a debilitating, life-altering injury. Right. But here we are, and it's not like it's a shock.
Right.
This isn't Alex Smith who had an accident. This guy's body's been breaking down since the moment he came into Major League Baseball. It's your fault for giving him that. So why don't you guys just cut your losses, drop it, and let's just celebrate the guy and move on. That's all.
The other side of the coin, though, is he did exactly what is every owner's worst nightmare. He went on to have his best season ever and then was World Series MVP, and they're trying to go for it one more time. And they did. They did try to go for it, and then 2020 happened, and that year was just weird. But I don't blame them for that. You also got to remember with Strasburg, too. Remember, he signed for under market value his first contract extension.
I know, but this is why you don't do that when you're a player. And this is why the agents are right for saying don't ever do that, because there's no promise on the other side.
Sure, but I think the learners, they probably felt this guy, he's going to have his number retired. He just won World Series MVP. Let's go for it with him.
So they made good with him. You know what? Just remember that part.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
it's a bad deal. It's sunk cost. Why tick the guy off?
Yeah, I don't really understand it, because here's the thing. You are going to...
He can't pitch. It's not like he's not trying to. He can't can't do it.
Right. And if what we hear is correct, and he can barely lift his arm or whatever, do you think he's gonna be able to grip a baseball to show these pitchers what to do? I don't get this one, because you're gonna retire the guy's number. Everyone's gonna sell out whatever day that is, whatever Strasburg weekend is. We're all gonna go down there. I don't understand why even Rizzo it was a little weird to hear Rizzo say, "Oh, well, we want him down here to mentor a little bit." I'm like,
what are you talking about?
That makes no sense.
No, it's we want him to be in violation of something. That's what sucks.
Ridiculous.
So now you're going to get him to show up. He's going to do a weird press conference if he does anything at all with these 3-word answers.
That's right, yeah.
And they're going to be like, how you doing? And he's like, I can't lift a fork.
Yeah.
Why are you here? Because I've been told to be here?
Right.
It's weird.
Exactly.
All right, let me take a quick break. We'll get to Louise in Richmond, who is making life hellacious for Ted next. Bram Washington Show, ESPN 630 at Sports Capital. That was an awesome traffic report, by the way, for those of you who listen live.
Cough button, apparently broken.
Nothing I like more than hearing her clear her throat. Middle of a traffic report. 66. It's tied up.
Sounded like your fake cough.
My fake throw up?
Yeah, we're like, yeah, don't do that. Yeah. We don't need people turning off with the radio.
Oh, man. Let's see. Let's talk about Louise from Richmond.
First time, long time.
Oh, man. She does not like Ted these days.
Do you think Dan's listening to DC Sports Radio these days and just kind of kicking back?
Enjoying it.
Yeah, because we're talking about every owner not named him. And the ones that were here.
I was going to make a comparison to something I'm just not going to do.
Okay, all right.
Was, I thought, because I don't want anybody to think I'm comparing these two people. Anyway, So, yeah, I do. He's got the yacht locked on all of
Got the
this
630
right
app fired up on the yacht.
He's like, tell me more about what's happening down there. So Louise Lucas, who has a lot of power in the Virginia Senate, and when they pulled this fast, press conference saying it's all good, speed, taking the speed rail from Cap One down to Potomac Yards, guys.
Don't know where you're going with that. But
Plenty of escalators. Don't worry about it. We're all good.
Yeah, my favorite was the tweet this weekend that they tweeted twice, by the way, that Dan Steinberg pointed out, where they said, well, when the arena's built at Potomac Yards, no one has to transfer more than one time to get here.
That's right.
Guys,
at Capital One Arena, you don't have to transfer at all.
One, no one does. Two, someone just take a look at the Metro map and tell me, who transfers twice?
Anywhere.
You don't.
Anywhere.
It's like,
you're just Ubering at that point.
That's
or in
right,
fact,
you are.
You don't understand the map. That means you're transferring 3 times because you got confused at what you were doing.
That's right.
You're a Japanese tourist if you transferred more than twice.
We've all done it one time. All of a sudden, you look out the window and you're like, oh, crap, I'm at Arlington Cemetery. I took it on the wrong side.
Wrong way.
Now I got to get off, wait for the other train to
Now
come
I know
the other
which way Glen Arden is.
Yes. Yeah, so we just stopped. Like, oh, this is what this one looks like.
Yeah. So Louise is standing in the way. I saw this one clip where she basically said, everybody knows what this is. We're not giving you all the public money. Then she points out, Monumental wants to go public. We're not going to help you do that.
Yeah, right.
Which I guess they could do on their own. Then she tweeted this last night. The last thing anybody should ever try to do is bully me. I was a teenage mother who broke the gender barrier with a physical job at the shipyard. At 80 years old, I will kick their ass and make sure everyone's watching. Not calling any names yet, but you know who you are. So, I don't know whose side I'm on here, but I would like to see her fight somebody because it sounds like she's dead serious, and I don't know who she's referring to. Youngkin? Does she want to fight Youngkin? Because I'd like to see that.
I need a Bruce Springsteen impersonator to write that song.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like a Springsteen song.
She
works down at the shipyard.
I worked at the shipyard. Yeah. Louise Lucas from Virginia. Louise from Virginia is a tough cookie. So she is the one standing in the way, and now she is loudly telling anybody, you're not getting this. Mm-hmm. And she seems to be in a small minority of people that are in that camp because the House part of it threw it right through with flying colors. So this is clearly not over. And I still, I was about 90-10 that this was happening. I'm going to drop it to about 80-20 now because it's ramping up a little bit. The press that he's getting isn't good. I don't think he's handling it very well.
Yeah.
In the middle of Caps games, he's responding to Muriel Bowser articles, and he's trying to explain to me how he's going to be a solution for traffic when it's the utter opposite of it, or talking about, well, you only have to do this to get to these games now, but I didn't have to do any of that before I got to the games. And then we got Abe Polinson, who I actually would like to spend some time tomorrow because he really kind of, as nicely as he could, tore into him and basically attacked his character and said, you lied to my dad if this is what you're going to end up doing. Mm-hmm. This was one of the reasons why we sold you the team, was you said you wouldn't do this.
That's why you and I reacted the way we did, because you can't have it both ways, Ted, where you wave the flag for the city and name your team the Go-Go. And then when things get tough down there, which I always like to say, too, in this city, it rotates. Areas have a harder times than others, and eventually they get built up and brought back down and built up and brought back down. Things have gotten tough now, and you want to leave? You're going to put it in a place where it's never coming back at that point. That's where I think you and I had landed, was you can't wave the flag and then bolt.
And I also, I don't pretend to understand how the structure of these deals and where the money comes from and how it gets paid back. I'm not going to sit there and pretend that I totally understand that, but I do know that someone's going to pay for it and it's not them.
Yep.
So this idea that, we're not taking any taxpayer money.
The craziest
what are you talking about? Okay, you aren't, but you are taking out bonds, which needs to be repaid by who exactly? Right. Not you. So I actually think it's going to be me, the paying customer, that gets to, grace the presence of your new arena at a 60% increase in price, which is, it goes back to my first question to him has always been, project for me what it will cost to go to a Wizards or a Capitals game when you build this thing, because I know you know the answer to that. Yep. So I would like to know what it is so that I can have a better feeling about, is this even affordable? We're building something that benefits you. You can pretend it benefits all of us. You may build something that's beautiful and people want to attend, sure. But if it's going to cost me a vast premium to go there, as opposed to what I'm already paying now, which I think the prices are too high, in my opinion, now. But I guess that's the cost of sports. But that's what they are. If it's going to be exponentially higher now, well, I think I want to know that before I actually get behind something like this. You want me to stand behind you to do something that's going to benefit you, not the region, you. Yeah. We understand that. And who's going to pay for this? The taxpayers, me, both of us?
Right.
Because I say me as a loyal fan who likes going to hockey and basketball games. I'm not going to stop doing that for the rest of my life. But I also don't want to spend $1,000 to bring my family with me to go to a Tuesday game against the Pelicans.
That's right. Yes.
Especially when you're 9-46. And I don't care if Denny's cracking. Okay? Eddie's cracking.
They don't get that reference yet. We haven't played that yet.
Yeah. KG says he's cracking.
He's cracking. Yes.
He's cracking. And I appreciate he's cracking, and maybe it's time to bring back Yarmulke night. But, like, I also still don't want to spend $1,000 to go to the game.
Does the Yarmulke say Wizards bra on it?
Oh, it says Denny's cracking.
Denny's cracking Yarmulke night.
Yarmulke night.
That's a lot. That's a lot of references.
That's Louise. Louise is coming pretty hard. She can stand in the way. She's basically the head of the Senate. It's democratically run. I said this from the get-go. They have split government. To think that they were just going to fly through with no resistance, I think was a miscalculation at best.
Yeah, right.
But they certainly have the House and the governor and the mayor of Alexandria on their side until things change. And if Louise stands up long enough and keeps saying at 80, come at me and I'll hit you in the face, you never know how many more people may join her and the resistance may grow. And also it's going to take her to say yes. And I don't know what it is to get her to say yes. Only they know the answer to that. But this is not as sure a thing as I thought it was going to be. And then we'll have to see where we land on the other side because Ted's thin-skinned. And I don't want to find out what his next move is if Louise turns out to knock this thing out and go, it's not going to happen. What's he do next? And I hope he doesn't go nuclear because if he does, he thinks people are mad at him now. Oh, you just wait.
So
just wait, Ted.
This is what's funny, and partly why I brought up Dan at the beginning was, Dan was a little bit of a masterclass when it came to dealing with the public. He just straight up ignored it. Like at some point, right? Remember, because he would do
he was so bad in interviews.
He would do like one
Never
interview.
go well.
He would do one interview in training camp with 980 when we were there and they were owned by the team essentially.
Yeah, I used to get him with him when I was a beat reporter. He liked me, so I used to do interviews with him early in his tenure.
Exactly.
Early in his tenure.
But it would be like once a year at most, and then the coaching or GM presser, whatever he would do, but never answer questions.
Right, we used to do a pre-draft thing too, and he would show up to that. He would always do that too, the pre-draft, and he would answer questions during it.
Yeah, but eventually that all went by the wayside, and what kept the fan base like almost at bay was the fan base felt like they couldn't do anything. I feel like that's really like why this thing never ramped up with him, because it was like it all fell on deaf ears. He was never going to do anything.
He also was never moving them anywhere.
Correct. No, for sure.
He was never like, fine, we're going to London.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But with Ted, I feel like the armor is already cracking. And if people start to figure out the more critical they are and the louder they are of him, that it's working, that's where you're going to see, I think, the landslide of people start to really get the movement of don't do this. Like,
I haven't been to a Caps or a Wizards game since. Mm-hmm. Is there anything happening in the arena at this point where people are...
In the nicest way possible, there haven't been enough people at any of these Caps games. Except for the Super Bowl Sunday game. They haven't actually been well attended since the All-Star break.
He's not literally seeing Caps fans chanting things like don't move the team or anything like that.
Not that I know of, but look, if the Caps sell at the deadline again, which I think they will, and those games get kind of cheaper to get into... Are you gonna imagine?
Hang on. I'm here now.
Are you gonna imagine? Are you gonna rule out that all of a sudden a "sell the team" chant doesn't get out there?
Well, now that Dan and Angelos is gone, you're next, Ted.
Like
those people need a new villain.
I'm just saying, like third period, they're down 5-1 to the Bruins. Mm-hmm. You think a "sell the team" chant won't break out? I think it will.
Stay here. Stay here.
Wizards fans,
Something.
I don't think you can rally Wizards fans enough because I think that fan base is just
they're not there for
in the
basketball.
ground.
They're not there for basketball.
They don't care enough about that. But
they're like, put the 9:30 club anywhere. We'll go.
Right.
They don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they're,
the 9:30 club.
Whatever. Put it anywhere.
The 202
who cares?
club.
Yeah, who cares? We'll go there.
But I think a Caps game, I wouldn't rule it out that one of those packed games on a weekend, someone gets it started. That wouldn't surprise me if that starts all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Especially because people know where his box is, too.
I do want to see somebody fight Louise. I don't know why.
Fight Louise.
I do. She basically put it out there. She's like, come at me.
We need the political cartoon of her with an anchor over her back or something, and Ted with a hockey stick.
I wonder what she wants. What does she want? Because she's it, actually.
Yeah, right.
The governor would pass it. The House already they voted something like 17-3 to push it through. So, It's not like it's close. Like there's someone teetering. Like if someone changes their mind because they're scared, it doesn't matter. The votes are there. She's what's standing in the way of it. So what would get her to change her mind, or is she just not going to? And if she's not going to, this isn't going to happen.
I was going to say, she could just be of the age where she doesn't care, and she's just
I don't care.
Right. She's digging. She literally said it. I'm a woman. I'm 80.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I don't care.
Which honestly could be it. That's it.
Are they going to try to go full Biden on her and say she's too old? Too old.
She's not fit to run.
Not fit. Not fit to decide where a stadium should be.
That's right. I don't want to fight her. I know that.
Well, Ted, I wish you luck in all your endeavors. All right, let me take a quick break. We'll talk about the Caps winning over the weekend and the Ovi admission in a Russian outlet that he's going to retire after this contract ends.
Yep.
Brad Watch the show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. All right, so over the weekend, the Capitals beat Montreal 4-3.
I was on that one.
So they're hanging in there, playing better recently.
Sure.
Probably got a little unlucky against Vancouver, but they get a win on the road.
Yep.
Not a great team that they played, but they get a win on the road.
Correct.
And we'll take it.
Yeah, no, it was a good effort. I think I told you this. They like playing up there. Like, they have Ovechkin, who loves playing up there. Pacioretty used to be the captain of the Canadiens, so he was jumping up a little bit. Mantha is from there. All the signs were pointing to they were going to actually put a really good effort up there, and they did. The fact that they scored more than 2 goals, they scored 4, and they actually won was a good showing for them. I think they might be able to take advantage tomorrow, too. I know we'll get into it, but the Devils are coming off that big Stadium Series weekend.
Yeah.
There's always a letdown after those types of games, so maybe they can put a little bit of a streak here together, but no, it was a good effort on Saturday, and yeah, like I said, 4 goals when they've basically averaged 2 the entire season. I will happily take it.
On the Stadium Series stuff, I love that all the teams are now dressing up when they
Fantastic.
show up. The Devils showed up in Italian jumpsuits.
So good. It was
so
the best.
They went full Sopranos.
Uh-huh. The tweet was woke up this morning and going to a hockey game.
The picture of the team's amazing.
It's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Philly was even better, I thought, though.
Philly went Rocky.
Full
they went with
gray
the
sweatsuit,
full
chucks.
gray sweatsuit, running down the streets of Philadelphia and then running up the stairs.
Yep.
Yeah, they went full Rocky. And then all the Penguins wore Yager uniforms. You see that? When they showed up to their thing,
because
they
he was
all wore Yager.
They're retiring his number.
That was cool.
So he actually warmed up with them, which I thought was really cool too. He was actually out there on the ice warming up with them. So yeah, it was like a costume party, I guess, over the weekend for the NHL. I don't know what the Rangers and the Islanders did, though. I didn't see on social media what they did because they played the next day. MetLife did 2 games. They did a Saturday game and a Sunday game. I don't know what they dressed up as, but yeah.
The Rangers showed up in NYPD cars.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I thought it was a pretty good move,
that's
too.
Badass. All right, that's
pretty
badass.
good move.
Okay.
So I like all this. I like the costume parties. We're doing all costume parties now.
I mean,
into it.
If you remember, too, the Capitals one was great. They went full varsity blues and showed up on school buses last year with varsity jack. I mean, that was a good one. I mean, I give them credit for being the away team and having a good gimmick, essentially.
Let's see. All right. Alexander Ovechkin did an interview on a Russian outlet. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, Russian machine never breaks, listens to these things,
of course,
and Google translates them. Or maybe they speak Russian now.
Maybe
Who knows?
They've got a translator. I'm pretty sure.
Asked about his future, he said he still enjoys it, but as soon as I'm not going to enjoy it, it's probably not right for me to stay here and play the game the way I wanted to play. And then he said that back in October. And then for the Sport Express, Igor Rabiner sat down with him and then asked him if he's going to stop playing hockey when his contract is up, which is, 2.5 years, something like that?
Yep.
And his answer was, I think, yes.
Yeah.
So it's not a definitive, but he probably wants to. It'll probably depend if he's broken the record.
Sure. Yep.
which as of last year seemed like a foregone conclusion by the end of his contract, but now isn't, actually. I know he's had a little bit of a run here, but his goal total, unless he goes on some kind of crazy heater, which doesn't look like is about to happen.
Sure. One more heater, though, to get him to within like 25, between 25 and 30. I'm feeling good about it at that point.
He's short about 50 right now.
It's
right?
I think it's 60. I
60?
think it's 60, yeah.
So he's got 2.5 years, basically, to get 60 goals, which for him in the past is a no-brainer would happen. But the way this year is going doesn't feel like a no-brainer. So much so that if you watch them on the power play, they try to set up Oshie in the center of the... I mean, like they're not... There was a concerted effort to get the puck to him in the past. There hasn't really been a lot of that. And then he's got to kind of find his way. It's not that he's not out there, but it's not the obvious concerted effort to get him the opportunities as it used to be. So it's a little harder for him to get them. He hasn't been scoring at the same clip. There are these moments where you see a little bit of the age showing on some of the shots, for sure. He doesn't skate like he used to. 60's a lot.
Yeah.
Suddenly for 2.5 years for him. It wasn't as of last year, but it is now, so we'll have to see.
The actual concern with me in the power play, though, is in years past when teams have started to key in on him, there's always been another option wide open, too. And what's happening is the secondary option isn't working, or it hasn't worked all year. So I think the reason they're going towards Oshie now is because they know when Oshie's in that bumper position, he's been doing that for 10 years here now. When he's in that bumper position, it's a goal every single time he gets it on his stick. And I think that's what they're doing. They're trying to open it up for him now by going, sit tight. When Oshie starts getting a bunch of these, all the teams are going to start going towards him, and you're going to eventually get one from the office again. That's been the problem, I think. And honestly, go all the way back. I think it's the loss of Nick Backstrom. Say what you want. Like we were saying it last year. He couldn't skate, but God, he could still throw a pass tape to tape as good as anyone else on the team. And I think that's where things are affecting them a little bit, is they can't get it to the secondary guy right now. So the reason he scored 6 and 7 games, though, is because things are opening up secondarily wise for some other scorers. So and teams can't tee off only on him anymore.
I mean, not that this should matter, but I do hope, and because not everybody does this, I hope he plays his whole career here and that's it.
Yeah. I've never gotten the sense he wants to go anywhere. The only thing I had ever read about, and this was like years and years ago, was all the Russian players do this. They quote-unquote retire from the NHL and then play 1 to 2 years in the KHL. It seems to be like
that's their thing.
The wink-wink, nudge-nudge. Hey, give us a little bump in the attendance over here so you do your farewell tour over here. I don't know if he's going to do that, though. He loves Dynamo, his original team, and he played there in the lockout with Backstrom, but the way he's skating, I'm not sure he continually goes. Because, like, even Jágr, not this weekend, but even Jágr, when he went back over there, people were like, he could still skate. He's just not NHL level caliber top 6 type of guy.
So, let's just say he's at 50 going into next. Let's give him 10 more goals this year, okay? Get to 50 for the final 2 years.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how he treats this offseason. If he goes out of his way to try to get himself into the best shape he could possibly be in, because I don't think that that's clearly been a priority for him in the past, but maybe this will be an eye-opening experience of, if I want to do this before I'm 40 and I do want to retire, I'm going to need to will my body to have a 30-goal season to do it.
Yeah.
And the only way I think now is he's going to have to go into some kind of different level of off-season care of his body, because it's pretty clear like he's been able to get away with that. Like he's been very lucky that he hasn't gotten injuries, and that's amazing.
And drink Coke on the bench, and
he ain't Brady with the nightshades and the massages and the whey protein. Like, that's not his thing. And I have a feeling if he really wants to get this done in this short period of time, that he's going to have to think about it a little bit differently. And I wonder if he comes back and he looks a little different, maybe a little lighter next year.
I shortchanged him 1 goal. He's 59 away right now.
Yeah. All right.
So
he's still.
I would say if he can get to 50 by the end of this season.
9 more goals, get to 50. You've got 2 years to get 50. That's still 25 a season.
Sure.
Which means, to me, get yourself in the best shape you could possibly be.
Right.
Have 1 more OV season. You have one more OV season. Then, you could probably coast into it. But even 1 more OV season is 30-plus goals.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got to get into shape to do that.
It's also going to turn into, because he's now said this out loud, if he's like, let's just say, optimistically, he's 20 goals away. and he's in that last year of his contract.
Yeah, that's still a lot.
That's still a lot. Not only is that a lot, though, then we become traveling circus for real that
Correct.
time because you're going to have arenas selling out, and you're going to get the whole, we honor Alex Ovechkin, and we hand him a gift.
Right.
Every single night you go somewhere, which granted, he's totally earned, but now it's like you're putting everything into that last season. I agree. That's just a lot. So.
It is a lot. So I'm hoping that's what I think he's going to have to do.
Yeah.
He's going to change his body, get himself in incredible shape. Hopefully, have one more. It reminds me a little bit of like when Tiger Woods won the Masters a few years ago. It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It was like he reminded you what he can be when he puts his mind to it. Ovechkin's going to have to do this one more time. And if he could get to 40 one more time to remind you who he is, he could coast that last season.
That's right.
Even getting 30 next year is going to leave him in a situation where we'll see.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot at age 40 to score 20 goals.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
I agree.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Bram watches the show, ESPN 630 Sports Capital. I did waste a few minutes watching the NBA All-Star game last night. Not a lot of it.
What a shame.
Guys. This is a larger conversation that I think the league has been trying to have with the players, and it's falling on deaf ears, and I don't know what they're going to do about it, but these guys don't try.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
In this, which, and you're probably saying, it's an exhibition, who cares? I don't think that they're trying hard enough in the regular season either.
That's right. You're correct.
Which is the bigger issue here. Mm-hmm. They had to install an in-season tournament with money attached to it to get the guys to take it semi-seriously, even though we all know it's not a very serious thing. But they attached money to it. Now, let's just forget the fact that they are paid a certain amount of money to play those games anyway.
That's right. Yep, right.
Collectively bargained salaries to play those games anyway. And I think the median player makes about $5 million a year. Not that I'm trying to point out, because the money's the money, but nobody is making a minimum wage playing these games.
Correct.
And so I don't know, do you want to be part of this or not? And, between load management, in-season tournament to try to gin up some kind of competition, to Adam Silver going out of his way over and over and over saying, we've made a point of this All-Star game. We want a more competitive All-Star game. People come to see the best of the best play each other for real, or at least put their best effort out there, only to watch these teams score almost 400 points, which is absurd, right? It means literally nobody's playing defense whatsoever. It's a joke.
Right.
It's like what happened with the NFL Pro Bowl a couple of years ago when nobody was tackling.
Yep.
And it was like, why are we doing this?
Yes.
Why do we, at least in that game, I go, I get it.
Yes, correct. After
you do
a long
not want to
season,
get hurt.
Yep,
I get it.
Right.
But it's stupid. So they went to flag football. And you know what? Now you don't have to tackle each other.
Right.
And, are the ratings good for that? No.
Right.
Have they figured out what they can do? No. Can they just get them in certain places and do things with them because everybody just wants to see them together? Probably.
Right.
In this case, they're supposed to play a basketball game, and they're not. They're just going through the motions, and it's a joke. And what did Adam Silver say? Listen to Adam Silver.
This was him presenting the trophy to Team Giannis last night.
And to the Eastern Conference All-Stars, you scored the most points. Well, congratulations. Giannis, to your team, this trophy is yours.
I mean, they're laughing about it. He's not actually.
That's not from, because I took it from ESPN. It's the hosts are
laughing about it.
Yeah, not the actual TV.
Right. But they're laughing about it.
Yeah. Right.
They're laughing about it because they're like, what's he supposed to say? And, I don't think he planned to say that. I think he was just like, I don't know what to say anymore. You guys don't try.
Yeah.
And our fans know that. And this is a joke now. And I think this is an issue for them that they need to handle, and not just the All-Star game, but just in general, the lack of a standard of competition that these guys are willing to just forego in so many moments during the regular season. It's a problem. I don't know what to do here other than they may need to structure the regular season completely, literally differently in a way that forces them to compete harder because they're not doing it. And yesterday was laughably terrible. And that game used to matter.
Yeah. I think the weirder thing about it is somehow it deviated away from what it was. And what it was a pickup game. Nobody played insanely hard defense, but guys tried, and the offense was a little high because guys weren't going to be banging into each other and stuff. But
they let stuff go. There's no hard fouls.
Correct.
If somebody's got the clear lane to the basket, nobody's going to foul
That's
them.
right.
Nobody's going to undercut anybody. Nobody's going to take a crazy charge.
But
you knew that.
It was a pickup game, though. So you got to see the skills on display. Like I saw a clip from somebody retweeted it today because, of course, it's all coming out. And it was a clip from Kobe.
Yeah.
And Kobe said, every time me and Chris Paul were on the same team in the West, we never lost because we looked at each other in the fourth quarter and said, go time.
Let's go win.
And as long as things were close enough, we were all turning it on in the fourth quarter. Well, this is done from the start, essentially, and no one wants to try.
Nobody cares.
And I don't know. It's a joke because you guys are all so good. You should want to play really hard. Not really hard, but treat it like a pickup game. Try to make each other look like idiots. Like that's the whole point of the All-Star game, was getting ridiculous plays because it's all the best players in the world are on the court at the same time.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people throw out ideas like, let guys just go one-on-one.
They'll never do that.
Because
they'll never do that because no one.
Because some dude's not going to get embarrassed out there.
Right. But if one guy is,
yeah. Halliburton's taking on De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get embarrassed.
That's right. Yes,
I don't know
correct.
who.
Yeah.
But somebody is, and I'll watch that.
Here's my solution is this. One, there's been talk for a couple years now to expand the all-star rosters because there are guys not getting on that should because it's a popularity contest.
Sure.
And it links to contract money now. So it does matter. Even though the game doesn't matter, that still matters.
I mean, I still think, though, largely in the right world, everybody wants to see Giannis, Luka, Durant, Booker, LeBron. They want the stars on the court at the same time. That's why it's the best all-star game. When the game starts, there's 10, half of them are Hall of Famers.
Yeah. But what I'm
playing against each other.
What I'm getting at here is you expand the rosters a little bit. You add more players. And I think funny enough, I think you take what the NHL has done. I think you have 4 team captains. Then on Friday, you draft the team. Because here's the other thing the NBA doesn't, they refuse to lean in on. All these guys like each other, but it's all still high school BS drama. When guys don't like each other or they get into it on the court. Lean into that. So when guys are getting drafted to one team, you go, oh, LeBron didn't take AD. What's going on there? Oh, KG's the captain, and he drafted Steph first overall.
But they did draft teams, and it still didn't bring
that
up
was
the
only 2 teams, though.
level.
I'm saying you go 4 teams.
4 teams?
And you do a round robin like the NHL does. You do 2 teams for a quarter, another 2 teams for another quarter, and the final 2 teams meet in for a pseudo championship. I think that's how you fix this thing, because then they're going, well, our team's the best one. And then you get guys that are on the same actual NBA team on different all-star teams. And maybe you get a little more competitive juices flowing that way. Plus you tier the prize money. You're going to need to give prize money. I mean, that's really what's going to have to fix it.
This is just another sign of the issue that has existed here that's grown, and it's a problem for this league, and I think it's an existential problem.
Yeah.
I've said this. I used to say this a lot. I talked about this on here before when it came to Dan Snyder. And I would do a lot of appearances and panels and all sorts of things in and around the community about the Redskins football team commanders.
Yep.
Throughout the year. And I still do. And I'm happy to do these things. And invariably, every time, I would do a panel, somebody would ask a question about ownership and the air would get sucked out of the room.
Yeah.
And it was only a matter of how bad is this going to be and to what level are people going to be angry? And then, will it become personal because I work for the team? Are they going to say that I'm some kind of horrible person? Or are they going to just be like, can't you do something about it or something like that? Or what can we do about it? It just turned into this. And I would talk about, I'd go, listen, and I'd explain, what we're doing here. And then I'm like, but I will say this. There's no ambivalence, and that's the most important thing here. What the NBA players are doing, en masse, is they are leading us to a place where we can expect them not to try that hard. Mm-hmm. And to me, then it becomes, if you don't care, why do I care?
Yeah, Scott Van Pelt literally tweeted it last night. He goes, if you guys don't care, why should we care?
I have felt this way all along. And I say this about sports just in general. If you try your hardest, win or lose, I'm behind you.
Yeah.
But if you're not putting the effort out there, that's where you've lost me.
Right.
And that could be the coaching, and that could be you. That could be a lot of things. But, like, that's where you've lost me. That's when I become ambivalent. If I see you putting it on the line and trying your best, the wins and losses, well, let the chips fall where they may. I'll root for you. I'm interested. I live through you. But if you're not going to try, why should I care?
Yep.
And this isn't just the All-Star game, which is an exhibition. It's they had to put a midseason tournament in, not because they thought it was a good idea, but to try to do something to try to get people interested in the regular season at an earlier part of the season because they don't try hard and everybody knows it. Or teams are basically saying, we're just going to play our stars when we feel like it, to try to rest them until we get to the playoffs. So they had to change a rule about postseason awards.
Right.
Because they don't want load management. If you're hurt, you're hurt. But, like, if you're not hurt and you're just not playing because it's the third game in 5 days and you just don't feel like that'll be great for you in June, well, we got paying customers who came to see you,
That's right.
not to see your understudy. And in no other industry could you get away with this and not have paying customers turn their back on you. And this is where the problem is for them. And they've got to figure this out. So to me, I think they need to radically change the schedule of the entire year. And, you know, I think they need to figure out a way to restructure how people get paid because they're not trying.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they're paid. The midseason tournament got me the most because they're paid to play these games no matter what.
Yep. And if you don't make it to the like final rounds or whatever, you get
You
made
keep
up.
playing.
Yeah, you get made up games
You
2
keep
weeks later or whatever.
You're just playing 82 games.
Yeah, right.
Either way, you're playing 82 games. But they had to attach money on top of that to get them to play hard in the games that they're already contracted to play.
Yes, because the TV deal's coming up and they need ratings to pick up for the regular season.
You know, the All-Star game is different. It is an exhibition, but there used to be some level of pride in it that you wanted to perform well against the best of the best. That's not what we're getting, and last night was a joke. So I don't know what to do here, and I don't know what the answer is, but I got to tell you, it's an existential problem that they have because more and more and more, we're all looking at this and going, God, you guys think we're idiots. Like, you don't think we know what we're looking at. You don't think we know that you're not trying.
Right.
Like, well, if you're not going to try, then why am I watching? Why do I care? And so you're an all-star, but what's that matter to you? It doesn't. You're just there because it triggers something in your contract.
Right.
Or you get to say you were an all-star, but when push comes to shove and we want to see one-on-one Luka against Giannis, well, you guys are just going to back off and let each other dunk on each other because you don't care.
Right.
I don't know what to do, but they're trying. They're trying to figure it out, but it's embarrassing and it needs to stop. And I don't know how to stop it other than to say, I think you guys need to restructure and segment your schedule differently. You still play 82 games, but you've got to put some kind of incentive on top of it and a punishment for not. And this way, at least people will show up and play hard.
The only thing I could say is, you know, it's funny. The ones that do try are attractive. Like you and I love watching the Heat because the Heat try every night, even though they don't have a bona fide superstar. Like Jimmy Butler should not be a number one, but he is there.
They're the epitome
tries.
of why I like them.
Yes, right, exactly.
I know who they are. I know what they're about. I know what their effort is. You can't say that about a lot of teams in the NBA.
That's right.
And this also started with guys just going team to team and not caring who they're affiliated with.
Yeah.
That ought to tell you everything you need to know. It doesn't matter which uniform I put on if I go to a place where I think I can win with my teammates. Kevin Durant doesn't care if he plays for the Suns or the Nets or the Thunder. He doesn't care as long as he goes somewhere that he feels like he could win. So the uniform doesn't matter to him anymore. What it says on it doesn't matter to him anymore.
Right. The other joke about all of it is you have all of these players who loved Kobe and all this, and it's like none of you guys are 1% of what that guy did on a night in, night out basis.
No.
Like, if you tore your Achilles, none of you would come back the way that guy came back.
I saw the clip you saw where he was talking about how I was going to win those.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I tried in them. Jordan tried in them. He wanted to embarrass people.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And they're not doing that.
That's not now.
Right.
No, they don't care. They don't care enough now. They don't care enough during the regular season. They're just trying to manage it. The NBA playoffs are amazing once we get there.
Yeah.
But knowing what kind of teams you have getting into it, it's hard to tell because everybody's MO for it is different. They're all trying to manage it. Just get through it.
Yep, right, exactly.
Need time night to night. Ted and company want me to pay $500 to go see them.
That's right.
Well, you're not even trying. So
you don't want to sit in the Hennessy Lounge?
A little. I get drunk enough, I won't be able to tell the difference.
This is true. And you want to get up during play.
The other thing that happened yesterday was LeBron did an interview, a couple of interviews.
Yeah, he did. He answered a lot of questions.
He answered a lot of questions. One of them was an abject lie. He said he didn't know about the Warriors trade until the last minute when everyone else found out about the Warriors trade, which is stupid, and nobody could possibly believe that. But whatever.
Right.
Fine, it didn't happen. He also tried to reiterate by saying, I want to finish my career as a Laker, which also nobody believes. He's going to want to go wherever he wants to go, but it's the right thing to say at this point.
Right.
And then he got into his future a little bit. And he was asked, do you want a retirement tour?
Yeah.
And he said, I'm not sure. And he said, I can't believe he said this, I don't like that kind of attention.
He said, I don't handle a positive. It was like, I don't handle compliments well or something.
Meantime, you're kidding, right?
Joe Fortenbaugh went off on this today, and it was my favorite rant ever. He goes, LeBron, you have the chosen one tattooed on your back.
Yeah.
You are literally nicknamed King James. What do you mean you don't handle this?
You starred in Space Jam.
Yeah, that's right.
You do shows with your friends.
That's right.
What are you talking about?
It's ridiculous.
What are you, like, you want people to say you're the greatest basketball player ever.
Right, exactly.
Like, don't tell me you don't. You do. You don't like it when people are salty about your game in any way whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And actually, a lot of the complaints that I have about a lot of the modern players actually don't apply to him.
That's right.
He doesn't do the load management thing. And if anybody should, it's probably him. He's
actually
logged more miles than anybody. But he plays.
He does real load management where he only plays some nights for like 20 to 24 minutes. But those 20 to 24 minutes, he's letting it all out
and
there.
You know what? At his age, I'm okay with
Perfectly
it. How
fine
many? He's been playing since he was 18 years old in the NBA. I'm actually okay with that. Like, that's fine. He's the least of my worries about all this other stuff. But he's so disingenuous when he tries to do these interviews, and he's like, you know what? I just don't want all this attention. What are you talking about?
Right.
Nobody has wanted more attention than you the whole time.
That's right.
You held a special about where you were going to sign as a free agent.
That's right.
At a Boys and Girls Club on national TV.
Yep.
What do you mean you don't want the attention? Of course you do.
Taking my talents to South Beach.
You're low key. Yeah, that's who you are. LeBron low key James. That's exactly who you are.
Wait, it's also the same guy that in the last 2 years said he wanted to go play with his son, too. Which no one has ever said, I'm going to go play where my son wants to play.
He put on a towel that said New York Knicks around his shoulder. Yeah. Gee, what did you think was going to happen? Come on, man.
Here's the thing.
Come on.
Here's the thing. He kind of has to do this, though, because you actually do owe it to your fans, which is all of us, honestly. I mean, let's be honest here. You owe it to everyone to get a chance to go see you the last time out. Like, that's why you're going to do this eventually.
Of course he's going to do it. What do you mean he's not going to do that? Of course he's going to do that.
Right.
It's for him to say, I don't know yet. At least you're not saying no.
That's going to be a brutal year in terms of LeBron watch, because it's going to be like, oh, he's not playing, and it's going to be like revolting people because he's going to be going to Indianapolis for the last time.
I'd like to see what the gifts are. The gifts are going to be great. Let's see what the gifts are.
Should be pretty good. I mean, basketball, you can only go so many ways, so I don't know exactly what. Like, Ovies are going to be funny. Like, Ovies are going to be ridiculous. LeBron's are all going to be typical, I feel like, though. Piece of the scoreboard.
I feel like Ovies are going to be inside jokes we didn't know about the whole time from places he's gone to.
Maybe. I could definitely see that happening.
Like he's going to get a beer bong from somewhere.
Like, what does Montreal give him? He killed them over the years.
Know.
Like, do they give him a number from the actual, screen or something?
Who
I don't
knows? Know. They raise his jersey up to the rafters.
That'd be funny.
Would be pretty good. For one night, they do it.
Like, what do the Penguins give him?
Oh, that's an interesting night. I actually want to go to that. That'd be one of those I'd want to go to.
I
had a wonderful experience in their arena last year when I went to a Penguins Capitals game. I'd like to see that. Last Pens Caps Ovi game. That'd be good. Does Sydney present him with whatever the gift is?
Yeah, totally. They're buddies now. They're like, they know they're the
Peyton
old.
Peyton and Tom.
Yeah, they know they're the old.
They've realized they're Larry and Magic, Peyton and Tom. They've realized we kind of are going to live the rest of our lives together in some way. Yes. I know you're going to be in Russia, but whenever you come over here.
Right. When they did the All-Star game last year when he made it, and they did like the 3-on-1 with his kid, I knew the hatchet was buried. Not even in the pub. I knew they were always buddies behind the scenes. Not buddies, but friendly enough behind the scenes. And then when they did that with his son, I was like, oh, the charade is over with. They can actually act like they're friends now. So
I was going to play the clip of KG saying Denny's cracking.
You don't want it? You
want to hear him say it? It is funny to hear him say it. You can't play the end of it, though. It's like all curse words.
I'm aware.
This is KG on whatever podcast he's in.
Without Paul Pierce. They do a
with
podcast
Paul Pierce?
together. Yeah.
Okay. This out of context. Just listen to this.
Cracking. You know who
Before he went down, he was cracking.
You know who cracking? What's the boy up in Washington?
Kuzma?
No, his name is his last name is J.
Kuzma's
AJ.
cracking, though.
Denny Advia.
Cracking. What's his name? Say it again.
Denny Advia.
Denny Advia.
He cracking.
Cracking.
That's high praise,
Okay.
though, from KG. Because
It
KG
is.
doesn't give anyone praise like that.
I agree. Kraken is the highest praise possible. But I just want to point something out. He's in year 4. Is that correct?
Yes.
He was a top 10 pick.
I mean, it's Wizards, bro.
That is as Wizards bra as it
The
gets.
second he's drafted, no one remembers who it is.
That
You
is
think you
the
know who's-
most. That might be the most Wizards bra thing of all time. He's in his 4th year. He was a top 10 pick. He doesn't know what his name is. All he knows is the other day he scored 43 points. That's it. That's all he knows.
Well, that was more because the clip is short. That was more about his defense. They were saying that he'll get you if you think if you start sleeping, Denny will get you. That was the praise from KG actually.
Yeah.
Not scoring 40.
Even Denny said any of the offense starts from my defense. But that was the thing from him from the get-go. Everybody looked at him and went, he could turn into a really good defensive player.
Right.
Will he ever be an offensive player? If that turns, then we're actually in pretty good shape with him.
Right.
But I just love that a guy in year 4 who was a top 10 pick, and Kevin Garnett is still not sure what his name is, but just noticed in a box score or some highlights that he did a couple of good things. And he's like, what's his name? And he said, I think there's a J in it.
He was right.
Yeah, he was right. He's not wrong. That is as Wizards bra as it gets. That the guy is so unknown in year 4 that KG can't remember his name, even though the other day he was like, some guy in Washington did a cool thing.
I'm not gonna knock him for it.
I'll take it.
Yeah, right.
Small wins.
Yeah, I'm not gonna knock him for it because
Small wins.
the second someone gets drafted here, top 10 or not, no one remembers who they are.
I'll tell you who's going to be forgotten quick. Jimmy Davis. You know who's not cracking? Jimmy Davis.
That's correct. Yes, exactly. And Denny, you got to remember, didn't start either for the first 2 years. He was
I understand.
half and half, splitting time with Rui.
I'm just saying, though, if you're doing a basketball show, you would think you would know the name of the guy.
You know how this works. They hand podcasts out to anybody these days.
I want to know who's in the background screaming, it's Denny Avdia.
His producer,
and then he goes, what's his name again?
Yeah.
Like it was even, right. It was even more confusing. He was like, there was a J in it.
I love how Paul Pierce said Kuzma. And I'm like,
yeah.
Kuzma ain't cracking anybody. Dude.
Nobody's cracking.
We like Kuzma, but he's not defending anyone like that.